Okay, welcome everybody. And let's see if I can get some chats from Michael or anyone else here, if you guys can hear me okay. Perfect. Lots of I hear yous already. Perfect. Lots of chats. Lots of people filling out the survey. We've got 50% completed. Okay, great. So we got 175 participants so far, 176, clicking up. We're gonna put this here in present mode. Hopefully you can all see this okay. And you know, I have done thousands of one-on-one web conferences, and that's definitely my preference. But this is such a hot topic right now, so we're switching here more to a Q&A format for at least the next couple weeks, and or to a webinar format. And on our website, we're going to have a whole series of webinars that are going to be posted here in the next, they're going to be posted today. So they're going to go through all of the basics of zInspector and different features specifically targeted at what's going on here in the coronavirus situation as well. Okay, so I think that's going to be good enough. So hopefully you see these poll results. Okay, so a lot of zInspector subscribers here, fantastic. We've got, you know, different levels of experience and about people already considering mid-lease tenant completed inspections. So there's those results, you can see that. And that's about what I expected. So that's great to have everyone on board. Feel free here on this webinar format, just send us any Q&A questions you want, and we will do our best to answer them here real time as we're going through this. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up this presentation, so you should all be able to see that. All right, and I know that you have a ton of things going on right now in your business, and every aspect of it you're going to have to rethink, and that's where we really are right now. We are in a really a game-changing mindset right now. But when we got situations like this, you can list out everything, but to solve it, we're going to break it up into pieces and basically solve one problem at a time. And so that's one we're going to solve right now, is try and get at tenant completed inspections. And really more generally, the topic that we're talking about here is how to get information that is coming from the properties and for occupied properties. How are we going to get all that and use all that data? All right, so but I think the bigger problem that we're going to have is we've got to ask ourselves, is this the new normal? And so if you see some of the stats going around with this situation and kind of the mathematical predictions of how these things spread, usually they come in various waves. So unless there's a true vaccine, you may have the first wave may be significant, but then you may see smaller other repeat cycles down the road. So even if we get out of this in the short term in the next month, which I know we will, this may be an ongoing problem that we're going to have to still assess from our businesses. And, you know, and then that really kind of goes on, well, what does that mean from a company risk and liability factor? You know, so in the PM company I used to operate, we would typically have, do our annual inspections, and every agent would typically be managing about 100 properties or so. And in a month or two, they would walk through all 100 properties. Is that what you want right now? Even once we get through this situation in a month or two, is that what we're going to want to do? Not only is it a potential safety issue for your agents, it's potentially a liability risk, both for your company and for your owners. And so we're going to have to think about this over the long term. We've got a short-term problem, and then we also got here a long-term problem, how we're going to structure our things going forward. All right, now, And then larger remote workforce, it's almost like too obvious, right, that it's happening. Basically, we've got over 200 people on this call, and everybody is remote, right? And everybody is remote, and it's just going to get more significant, right? So if you go to the NARPM conferences, obviously one of the most popular topics has been virtual assistants. I'd estimate about 20% of our support tickets in zInspector come from people in the Philippines or Mexico asking various kind of usability questions and so forth. And that is just going to accelerate into a whole nother level, all these things at this point. And so when we're assessing all that, one of the problems we're going to have to tackle is how are we going to get information from occupied properties? So how are we going to do that? So we've actually been working on tenant completed periodic inspections for the last 12 months. We launched a tenant move-in app in October 2018, and we just kept getting different ideas and suggestions on what to do. And so this has been in the works for a while. But we're going to make this feature completely free to anyone to use for at least till this coronavirus situation is over. Eventually, there'll be a cost for it, but we work hard to price things reasonably, and we'll certainly do things here with that as well. But for the foreseeable future, at least through the end of May, this will be free at a minimum. All right, now, so our long-term goal, we got a short-term goal, we got to get through the current crisis, but our long-term goal, it's really about workflows, process improvements, how do we streamline our business? And let's see here, and Richard, if you can't get audio, if you go into the microphone tests, and you should be able to hit the little arrow and test your audio. And you should be able to hear audio that way. If you don't have speakers on your computer, then you can call in on the web conference info. All right, so what we're trying to do is give you the ability to have any type of periodic template that you want. And so there's, I think, a lot of different ways you could use this information. For zInspector subscribers, if we now sync, and actually we just launched RentTech Direct tenant data syncing. We've had Rent Manager, Appfolio, Propertyware syncing, so it makes all of that very easy now unless you have all the tenant data, names, email addresses, lease start date, that's all there. And then this part of it will be coming in the next just 2 to 3 weeks in terms of automation tools. So what you'll have in just 2-3 weeks is you'll be able to do something like, all right, all of my tenants that have leases renewing in the next 60 days, send them all a renewal inspection request in just 2-3 clicks. So by the end of this, we're going to show you how to basically do that. Someone asked for plans for integrating with Buildium. We're open to it, but not at this point in time. It's really up to Buildium. And then, Buildium's been purchased by Propertyware. And so if they've been, so I think Buildium's a little bit state of flux. So it's really up to them. We're open to integrating with anyone who has any type of API or way to connect. All right, so I'm just gonna keep going on. And so I actually, was in property management and had a company, was the broker, and I bought digital cameras and these like Wi-Fi SD cards, and this is like literally what our server looked like with all the different photos and so forth. And it was just like, we have to, in California, you got to return all security deposits in 21 days. And we were a seasonal business, that PM company was, so we would turn 100 homes in about 3 days. And so we were taking 10, 20,000 pictures and had to return all security deposits. And it was just really difficult. And that's where zInspector started. Basically in 2012 is when we started. And we now have over 10,000 users in 10 countries. We have about 100,000 pieces of media uploading every day. So photos, videos, 360 images. And the reality is one 360 image is equivalent to about 20 or 30 photos. So there's a lot of content, and we've really, been set up to just handle volume, and that's how things are working. And so how we started though was just a photo organizer. So in 2014, it was just a way to take photos, and we were still doing like paper move-in, move-out reports and things like that. And all of our kind of customers, and like big ones like Signature Property Management and Ahi and Property Manager and others like that who are using us that very first month that we signed up for, just for organizing their photos. They're all still subscribers today. And we've really kind of, I think the one thing that we're going to do at zInspector is we're going to listen and improve. And I think it's something that when you're talking to your peers in this industry is to realize, like, I really thought I knew property management. And quickly I learned I knew property management in my town and in my little market. And there's so many different ways to do that. And so with zInspector, we're really trying to just listen and solve it for all the different property managers and different workflows. All right, so just a couple different features. We got move in, move out comparison. So this works in the app, on reports. They'll compare things side by side, automatically match up pictures and so forth. That's all automatic. We've got 360 Panoramics. So these embedded images are right in your inspection reports. And we have a very simple virtual tour, but we're gonna be doing a lot with that here still in the second half of 2020. So expect a lot more to really improve those virtual tours. All right, and then we've got a very sophisticated document editor. It's been, I think not too many people have really played into it much because there's a ton of options. It's how it works with version control. It's really powerful. So you can be changing documents while it's not interfering with people in the field doing it. And then we just launched actually an important update yesterday to it to make it more clickable and interacting, so you can, it's easier to make edits on these templates. All right, now new features we are launching right now. And someone says, can you combine or add pictures from another day? Absolutely. So we have a feature called span, and so it all works into a database. And so you can attach pictures from many different days, or even you could attach move-out pictures to a move-in inspection, for example. All right, so and that actually takes me into this topic that was from Brigitte, who asked that question. So we have another new feature we're launching this week. So both of these things we're planning at launching at NARPM here next month. And that is move-ins your way. And so we've worked to solve basically every type of move-in inspection workflow that we know about. So the walkthrough, you do it with the tenant move-in app, you have the tenants do the move-in inspection. A lot of people, if like the place was in good shape and you do a very thorough move out, you can take the move out, you can convert that to a move in. And now a brand new option that published this weekend, you can now send it to the tenants for remote signature. And some people do kind of a hybrid on that, where they maybe have a move-out inspection and they separately do, they call it a pre-move-in, or some people call it a make-ready, and they can send that for a remote signature for the tenants to then sign it. They can set it remotely, supports multiple parties, and you can choose to let the tenants add comments or add additional pictures to an inspection report you do. So this is called what move-ins your way. There's a whole series on our website that's going to be publishing as well. All right. Some people, so Tressa just asked, what about our file size? What's our file size like? And that's probably the number one reason people switch to us from something else is all of our inspection reports are designed to put on a maximum of 6 pictures per page, and we size it just right. So the quality is good enough that you can print it as they are. So if you got to go into court, something like that, you can print it, but you can also email it, or you could easily attach it to, she asked about Appfolio, you can attach it there, or Propertyware, or it goes to Rent Manager or Rent Tech Direct automatically. So we made that file size just right so it does all that. So even if you've got 600 pictures or whatever that is, it handles all that, and it's all clickable. So on your inspection reports, even if you have them in Appfolio, you can click it and see all the different images and so forth and enlarge them with Google Maps links. So that's all there too. All right, so that was Tressa's question. Okay, so the next feature we're launching here this week is called Tenant Periodic Inspections. And that's to invite a tenant to complete any custom inspection template that you want. And that's really what we're here about today. And so I've got kind of a second poll that I probably should have, closed that one already. Sorry about that, but let me pull up this second poll and poll 2 and hit launch poll. Okay, and let's see what people are saying right here. And it's interesting is that once we sent out these email alert here this last week about this webinars, we got a bunch of feedback and a bunch of questions. So I'm curious what people are going to say about this right now. And let's see, do you see that poll? Perfect. So people are starting to come in there, and so curious what people are going to say about this, because I think this is yeah. So what accountability measures? Yep. So already we're seeing questions that are like this. I don't, Jody Williams, I don't see the poll. Look, see if you can look on the web conference bar, if you can see something flashing up with a poll. It might also say Q&A at the same time, and you might be able to click there and say poll. Okay, perfect. All right, so let me end this poll. About half of you, or 60% of you, voted. So I'm going to, oh, there's a bunch more still coming in. So let's get it. But we're already seeing some pretty clear trends. Okay, and so to share results. All right, so and I did this because we were getting, we announced this feature. We got a lot of questions about it. Property manager concerned, how are this going to work? And so I think our minds are resetting because of the current situation, but I wanted you to try and think about, well, what was it like just 2 weeks ago? And, you know, so how would you even tell an owner this is what we're going to do? And I think it's a legitimate concern. I think we got questions like, they really thought that this was part of my job. It was part of my value add. Either if I'm doing it, or maybe you're hiring someone else to do it, or whatever it is, it was a service that you're selling to your owners. So how is it that you're going to ask a tenant to go do that inspection for you? And then it was really, would you trust tenants to do it? And I think that is really, you know, really some of the issues, is that how are you going to communicate, you know, these changes to your owners, and how is it going to work with the tenants? And what we're trying to do here is look at this here from what percentage of the security deposit do you send back? And I think it's interesting here is that 65% of you return back at least 80% of the deposit, right? And that's kind of a key insight. And that's really some of these questions that we got. And this is data from my PM company. And if you haven't ever collected this data, I recommend you do it. And we just collected what percentage security deposit did we return. And it was actually really helped the move out process, because we started sharing this with tenants. Basically, anytime they were getting ready for a move out, we would share this data. And with property management, there's an element that's almost like insurance, where so much of it we got these certain tenants over here that really do a lot of problems, right? They cause significant damage, significant problems. And so we design a lot of our business and processes and flows around actually a small minority of the tenants, because they can be so difficult. But the majority of our tenants get back the majority of their security deposit. And what that, I interpret that as meaning the majority of our tenants are normal, good people, just like the majority of property managers are, but not all, right? And that's really what we're trying to do, is say, I think tenant periodics are going to work well for major sections of your business. They're not going to solve every problem, right? Certainly the person that was trashing the place and they owe 200% of their security deposit, right? They're not going to be the one who's going to submit a periodic inspection report back, right? But at least you know that you didn't get it back, and now you start handling those problems at a different level. Okay, so I got one more poll. All right, so, and let's see here. one more poll. Okay, so tell me what types of periodic inspections, and it's really, I wouldn't say periodic inspections, it's really any time, and here on this you can vote for multiple if you want. What are you looking to get back from, right? What data do you need? And, you know, I think there's a lot of different ways to look at it. You may use all of these, you may just have one, you may have something, and, you know, and I think and I'm already seeing a lot on the other custom requests, and I think that's really important too. So let's see, these are really coming in here quickly here. Perfect. Okay, so that's, so, you know, while these are, let me answer some of these questions where that's kind of coming in. Okay, so poll errored out, try and reload or something like that. There's probably a lot of people submitting it at once. How do we ensure residents are taking adequate photos? We'll talk about that, and you can control that completely. Detail enough, I think you still gonna need to, how are these tenant inspections gonna be detailed enough? I think you're just gonna have to assess that. And you'll have a report review process, and if they're not detailed enough, then you got to go back, but we'll control that. Okay, so let's end this poll and show you these results. Okay, and it's interesting, right, is that there are, like, you may use many different elements of this, right? So it's not just lease renewal, it's really, there's all these different things you need to do to interact with a tenant. And we got to get this information back from them in a very controlled and managed way. We don't want them emailing us. We don't want them simply taking pictures, right? Those type of things. Someone asked, what is a pet condition verification? There are many people who add things into their lease that, like, maybe mid-lease, they have like a pet inspection, and they may go through and inspect it. Well, maybe what you really want to do is have them take a picture around the house, have them take a picture of the yard, have them take a picture of different things to show that the property is still in good condition as part of having a pet. So that was our idea and what someone suggested. Another person asked here on HOA violation, and I think you're absolutely right. I kind of lumped that in together with this lease violation because it's the same type of concept. You need basically corrective action and you need documentation on it, but you're right. It's, you know, it's probably a separate category, but from our technology point of view, it's the same. So you're basically need something to kind of get data back. So it's another good question. All right, so let's stop sharing that. Okay. All right, so yeah, so these are some of these examples that kind of we were requesting. All of these examples, none of them were our ideas, right? So these were all, you know, ones that different property managers have asked us since we launched the Tenant Move-In app. So you're thinking about this, how do I get information back from the tenants? Now, what our real goal is we'll be adding this in just the next few weeks. I'll show you how it's going to work. It's very simple, but you'd be able to do something like all leases that are ending in the next 90 days, submit a renewal inspection request. We have, for example, we have another option. You could make a special form for collecting HVAC filter size. Maybe you want to sign up with Second Nature. And so you make a little form, and in bulk, you could send that to everybody, and we have what's called document compare. You could select all those, and it generates one Excel file with all the property addresses, all the collected filter sizes in one inspection. And I think that they were in one Excel file. So those are like some examples where you can do a lot of information in bulk that's coming up. All right. Let's kind of go on. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is I'm actually gonna do a demo and actually kind of get into it. And I'm gonna try and do this so that I'm gonna jump through certain kind of aspects of it and really show you what the final result looks like. And so if you already know zInspector, if you're already comfortable with, that's good enough. You know the other aspects of it, okay? And so then at that point, you could essentially leave if you wanted to. But then I'm just going to go through an overview of the other basics of the website, so you kind of have enough to kind of get started and really use this feature. Okay, so let's kind of let me kind of minimize this. I'm going to swap over to this. Okay. All right, and then before I do, let's kind of go through the steps of what we're going to talk about. Okay, so here's the steps I'm going to cover. And the first thing is that zInspector.com, that is where you actually, on our website, where you're going to manage everything. Our turnover page, right, has all the tenant contact data on it. And that's where everything is there. We have the settings and daily reminders and so forth. That's on our turnover page. Step 2, the tenant move-in app. That's what the tenants actually use to do the inspection. So we sometimes get issues. The property manager will change the custom email and say something like, go use zInspector. And that doesn't work because they'll go create a zInspector account like they're a property manager. They use the tenant move-in app, and we give them all the information that they need to log in. Now, we just launched a new version of the tenant move-in app this weekend. It's now based on the zInspector 3 platform. It's got a bunch of subtleties. So one, now you can totally control the template to be whatever you want. It also has click to log in. So they'll be able to just basically tap to log in. It'll not only, it'll give them steps to install the app and then authenticate into the app. Another little subtleties, like in the last version, they got their password on their first email, but the daily reminders didn't have the password. Now all the daily reminders have all that, so they can just click on it on any of the daily reminders and the app opens up, and then they can go fill out whatever template you've requested. Okay, and then step 3, the report is going to route out. So the tenant will get a report, the PM will get a report. Then you've got a bunch of rules. You can make them, we have it set to invite only, but you can make it go to Zapier. From there, go to Dropbox, Google Drive. You can go to multiple different email accounts. You make it go to your VA, wherever you want your reports to route out. It's going to route out all automatically. And then if you use RentTech Direct or Rent Manager, we actually can put copies of those reports into those pieces of software automatically, so a copy will go there. And then we got various options that you can, then back on the website, once reports are done, you can kick them out into Excel. And we'll talk about that too. All right, let me see if I can. All right, so I'm gonna pull up the demo and so I've got some Q&As. Okay, so we've got this and answer live, make sure I've got everything. Okay. Concern with tenant, Jessica, my concern with tenant-led inspections is making sure they're also taking care of the property, not sneaking additional pets, right? So yeah, we can talk about that. All right, and let's see if there's any. Perfect. I think most of these here are going to be answered with this demo. All right, so here we're going to have the zInspector website. And so if you've never seen kind of the zInspector before, then timeline, that is where all of your inspection results are. Okay, this is where, you know, so you can see all your old reports here. Turnover is all of your tenant data. And really you can think of it as we call it a lease, where we link your tenant and properties and lease start dates, and we link that all together. Okay, so that's how that's going to work here. And you can have thousands of tenants in here, and this is all searchable. So I could say, show me something on that street. Okay, and I could find that property. And we've got a tenant move-in column, and we've got tenant inspection column. And the idea is that a tenant move-in that's its own type of documentation. We want that as its own specific process. We're collecting all that. And then tenant inspection is really any type of other mid-tenancy document you want them to complete. All right, so we're going to click on that. Okay, now here you could have multiple tenants. Now, it is one little subtlety. If you do have multiple tenants, our remote signature option supports multiple tenants. But this, for them to download the app, we really only wanted to do one person at a time. You could have multiple people do it, but right now we can prefer it at one at a time. All right, so here I'm going to click invite. And then here I'm going to choose to pick a template. So I'm going to pick a template. And these are templates that are now pre-populated on everybody's account. You can make whatever templates, essentially you want. There are some limitations, but for the most part, you can make what you want. All right, and so I'm going to say renewal inspection and next. Okay, now this email right here, this is, it's going to populate in their name and their property name and the basics. You can customize this under here. If you click that, it'll take you to settings to be whatever you want. But this is, you don't need to give them instructions like how to download the app or do any of that information, okay? That's all gonna be part of the email. So we put your part of the, at the top, and then we put everything else they need that we require at the bottom. And that's kind of what all of this is, okay? And then you can control, they're gonna get daily reminders, that they're gonna get an auto disable email. And there's an additional grace period. So we don't notify them of that, but that way we make sure everything kind of gets all uploaded. All right, so here I'm gonna hit invite. Okay, and now that's been sent out. Now what's really neat here is that I see where it says invited. So that is all searchable. So I can like quickly search and say, show me anyone that has been invited. I don't know if I have any expireds in here, but if someone didn't finish it, it would say expired. But you can like go through and quickly search for the current status of everything that's going on. All right, so now let me pull up my email. Okay, so I'm gonna look at my phone. Okay, so I'm on my phone over here. Okay, and so that's gonna be an example email that they get. Except when I take that, okay, it says no reply, but if they reply, it's actually gonna go back to your email address. Okay, so this is the email. You can see that part is their custom message in there. Okay, and then we put their username and password there, but for the most part, they won't even need to copy and paste it. They're going to essentially be able to just go into tap to login. It's going to basically pull up a web page of it that then redirects them to the app and authenticates them in and takes them right into the template that they need to fill out. Now, this here is the key, is that these questions, you can make them be whatever you wanted. Okay, so, but this is just kind of how this renewal inspection is set up by default. So it says, hey, are you interested in a lease renewal? I tap it. I can make those options be whatever you wanted. So I'm saying, yes, I'm interested, but not ready to make a decision. Okay, tenants on lease, and I'll say no change from current lease, right? And then, we provided some general paragraph fields where they can type in stuff about roommate changes or renewals or whatever. But again, it's really more specific to what you need to do at your company and how you want to do it. We, say, hey, we added something for animals, so we could, they can click in there and say, 5 ESA zebras or whatever, that may be. And then, and they can take pictures of that. Okay, and then it says, hey, smoke CO detectors, they tested okay, so that's there. HVAC filters, I said they're clean. When is the last time you changed your filter? And I could say less than 1 month. So again, these are just examples of how this is set up, and you could change this to be whatever you wanted. All right, and then we have what is called instruction field. So you see it says important. In addition to documenting any needed repair items, please be sure you also submit this request directly to your property manager, right? You could make that link be go to their website or anything like that, right? So that's where you do it. Now, in terms of how to customize this, you customize this all on the website, not in the app. So the website will modify our templates, and we'll show some of that here as well. All right, so we've got critical repairs, and then it says, please take ample pictures of all areas. And this is set up, so we were kind of talking with some Lee from like Marquette Rentals and some other property managers, and we thought the renewal inspection as a default, rather than having a complete checklist where they mark everything as satisfactory or damaged, like you do at a move-in or move-out, we thought for a renewal, it's more important to just take a lot of pictures. So you know, you may decide to do it differently, but this is how it's set up by default here. And so, and you see how the camera button is red, right? It is forcing me to take that. So if I hit proceed, it says error, I can't complete this inspection until I've at least taken pictures. And this list here will dynamically change. So if they've got multiple bathrooms or a living room or this or that or entry, right? That list can change depending on what's actually happening at this property. So here I'm gonna tap kitchen and I'll take a picture, okay? And I can take a refrigerator, open and close and take a picture. Oven, right? Take a picture. Faucet, and they can of course take multiple pictures in here. Okay, and so the way we designed this in this renewal inspection format, the idea was that we just wanted the tenant taking a whole bunch of pictures, but then it was really still going to be a PM's responsibility to review it, make a determination, did you get enough information or not? Do you need to go back out there or whatever that may be? Okay, now before, I'm going to see what other types of questions that we got. Okay, so someone said, can we invite also by text? Not at this time, and the reason is we probably could do that, but we have to send the reports. We send PDF copies of the reports by email, so we want a valid email address. Cameron says she doesn't see utilities or lease start features on her columns. You can, there is I think there's a filter to pick what columns you're going to show. So that might be it, or otherwise email support at zInspector and they will make sure that's, you can see that. And let's see what other questions here. Okay. Let's see here. And I think we've been answering most of these questions. Someone has the new feature renewals are launched. They are available right now. This is all the features I'm showing you are live right now. Okay, someone asked, will the tenant move-in inspection, move out be as detailed as a property manager inspection? That's really up to them, but you know, we still recommend, I don't recommend tenants doing a move out inspection. That just doesn't seem to see the appropriate thing. Okay, but really the move-in inspection, we're seeing many tenants take 600 pictures at a move-in inspection. Okay, so someone asked, does all the tenant move-in, move-out data import from AppFolio? So what from AppFolio, we sync the property names, the email addresses, lease start date, lease end date, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, and so forth. Okay. All right. Someone asked, Paul Roca asked about the video option for smoke detector testing. So when we launched the tenant move-in app, we disabled videos on purpose. Our mindset was that for a move-in, you really don't want them doing a video. It might be too easy to hide something in there in terms of like the corner of a video for a move-in. But we've realized for periodics, taking this picture of smoke detector, you really want the video. So that option is going to get re-enabled. And on all of these renewal options on the camera screen, the default next week, there'll be a video button off to the right there. So they'll be able to take video also. So we're going to be re-enabling that for tenant periodics, but still keeping it off by default for tenant move-in. So those were Paul Roca and Karen Jordan asked that about videos. Do you have a tenant for tenant pre-move out inspection? So that was some Justin Leanhart, I guess you're from California. And if you email us, we will send you one. So we know that is a very important thing. And it's kind of a unique legal situation in California where you have to do a pre-inspection, kind of getting ready for a move out, but you really can't do an in-person inspection right now. So we have some ideas. So if you're in California and you want a tenant pre-inspection for pre-move out on your account, email us and we will add that to your account. So email support at zInspector. Dustin said, can the completed reports upload into AppFolio? We can't automatically upload them there. Most people of our AppFolio users add a VA email address, and I'll show you where to do that. They'll get a copy, and then they will upload them to AppFolio and add them to the owner or tenant portal, and then they'll automatically get shared there. So that was Dustin and Sharon Thomas. And, oh, Justin says, nope, he's in Kentucky, but it sounds like the same problem. So email us anyways, and we'll help you for the pre-inspection. Okay. All right. Tony Thompson says, tenants say they're moving out. So that means you're probably already a zInspector subscriber. And one thing that we do is if a tenant's lease is ending within 90 days, we put them in the moving out column here on the website. So that's probably what's going on. If you change their lease end dates, then that will change automatically back to a current status. We're trying to flag you that you have leases ending soon. Okay. And Sarah says, okay, asking about Appfolio, we answered that. Trent says, I'm assuming you can't add all our leases to the report if we give, no, so Trent from Appfolio, no, we can sync all of your tenant data from Appfolio. So all of this tenant data here, all the tenant contact data, that can sync all automatically. Email support@zInspector.com if you have need help, but there's also a tutorial video on how to sync your tenant data. Candy says, currently we charge owners $75 for annual inspections. You know, that's all up to you. Where are you going to charge? Are you going to charge for these inspections or not? I mean, it's still, a lot of people charge for technology anyways. You still have to review the inspection, provide the inspection. If the tenant doesn't do it, you still need to go there. So I don't see why you couldn't still charge inspection. Where does it matter where you're getting your photos from? All right, so, so that's from this, okay. And Dustin asked about tenant move-ins versus tenant inspections. Right now, they are two different features. So we really think of them as two different features, and they are a little different. Okay, Tony, can we change the email address that goes to the tenant to the invite? Yep, you can make that be whatever. You can't change the from address, but you can change the reply address. So the reply address, when they reply, you can make that be whatever you want it. So Carrie Baker asked, if it's just taking pictures and no line item checklist, wouldn't take pictures of just damaged items. If you want the line item checklist, you can do that too. The tenant annual inspection has the tenant checklist there built in, so you can assess that. Okay. All right. Jessica says she's not seeing on the active tabs any data. If you're not seeing that and you already have your properties there, that means your tenant data is not syncing. So contact support at zInspector if you need help with the tenant data. Okay. Jessica asked, like, if the TMI app can be used only on a smart mobile device. That is correct. You need either an iPhone or Android device to do the actual inspection. The remote signature feature, so if you're doing the inspection and you're sending to someone for them to sign it and add pictures, we allow them to do that in the browser. But the idea is if they're doing like a tenant renewal inspection, the volume is so high, they're gonna have to take a lot of pictures and they're gonna need to do that in their own app, okay? All right. So tenant asks, once I have a lease in the system, the tenant will move out at some point. How easy is it to change? That all just happens all automatically. So I know, Trent, you use Appfolio. And so as you're syncing, we'll get the updated lease start date and they're gonna move into our inactive status. So the tenants will move to the inactive status as their leases have ended, okay? Tony asks, I set up a task in an incorrect property. How can I remove it? Just close out the task and it'll disappear. Okay, and Trent gave me a smiley face. I'll give you one back there. You know, so Sarah, do your clients have issues with tenants taking strategic pictures that minimize or hides any damage they've caused? You know, it's just, most of our experience with tenants taking pictures is on the tenant move-in inspection. And so we just haven't seen that. We actually see the opposite. Tenants take a lot of pictures. With the tenant periodics and renewals, I think you're still going to have to use some of your own judgment, making sure you're getting enough pictures back in your report. But the idea is you're not really using the tenant renewal inspection to decide about security deposit. This is more just a sanity check. What does it look like underneath the sink? What does the air filter look like? So forth. So I think it's a little bit different than tenant damage. Okay. The Karen Jordan asked about resident property information supposed to sync automatically. It just depends on what accounting software you have. If you have issues with that, email support@zInspector.com. But there are different setups instructions. Every different tool has its own setup. Okay. All right. Trent, have you ever thought about using the move-in photos on the periodic inspection report? Yeah, you could actually easily do that. So with Span, you can easily take pictures and move them and attach them to a different inspection report. So like if you had a renewal inspection report and you had a move-in, you can actually use Span and grab pictures from other reports. There's an email just on Span. So look up Span in the help desk, okay, for that. Okay. Jody asked about templates. I'm going to cover that briefly, but under settings, document templates, that's where the templates are. So for Annie asked, do you help with importing or syncing from Appfolio? Yes, there are videos on how to do it, or if you want us to do it, we can do it for you. We don't actually charge for it, but you basically have to create a temporary user for us in Appfolio, or we can log in and do that setup for you. And so some people are willing to create a temporary user for us in Appfolio, other people aren't, and you can watch the videos. If you email support@zInspector.com, we'll give you both options on exactly, and you can pick from either one you want. Okay. All right, and I'm not seeing any other kind of new ones. Yeah, so Paula asked if they mark something as deficit, make them have to take a picture. And there's another template called Tenant Annual Inspection, and that one does exactly that. And so if they mark something as like a damaged item or something like that, it does force them to take a picture. So that is actually there live on your account right now. So just pick from a different template. Okay. And Peter's going to go show a vacant unit. I'm glad you're going to show a vacant unit and it's not occupied, Peter. And let's see here if there's any other questions. Okay. And okay, and Justin is in California. That's what I thought. So I'm not sure there, but yeah, send us an email, Justin. We'll add you that pre-inspection to your account. Okay. Sharon asked, "Is syncing with Appfolio, is that a paid feature?" Yeah, that is on our paid business plan. It's $80 a month to have the business plan. There's just too many server resources, but you can easily add the data manually if you want to do that. Okay. All right. So those are the key things. I'm just trying to get through all these questions, and I think we've got them all. Okay. And Chapin asked about conditional fields where it opens additional questions. I like that idea. We don't do it yet. Parts of it are conditional. So like if you have certain areas on their account, so like if you have a front yard and an entry or things like that, it'll pop up, but not like the specific questions like that. I like that idea. Hopefully we can add something like that. Okay. And okay. Okay, perfect. Let's see here. I'm gonna Jessica asked for non-tech savvy people with flip phones. Well, you might have people who don't have any technology experience or they're older or things like that. So you're going to still have a process with that. But I think that's becoming less and less. Okay. And so Philip asked, how receptive are tenants when asking to participate in this for the first time? They love it. I mean, the reality is tenants don't want you coming to their house, especially the conscientious ones. So they don't want to be interrupted, and they'll often go take a lot of pictures. So the ones that aren't receptive to us, usually there might be another problem and you do need to go anyways. Okay. And I don't know if I'm curious, can I show all these questions and answers? I don't know if I can. If I can, I will add them. Okay. All right. And Russ asked for our, you just email support at zInspector and we can give you all our contact info. Okay. And we answer all those. Russ asked about owner estimates, and that's kind of a more subtle feature. And I think we've added a lot more on the pricing, and I think maybe we'll talk about that separately, Russ, but this is going to focus here on tenant periodics. And great. So still more questions still coming in. I'm trying to answer them all. Okay. Answer done. Ian asked about the 360 virtual tours. Just go on to the support page. There's a video on there. It's really easy to do the virtual tours. But yes, there's another webinar on how to take 360 images and create virtual tours as well. And that's going to be, you look at the one for using the zInspector 3 app. Okay. Will building users have inputted their properties? Yep, building users, you can import a spreadsheet of your properties, but for your tenants, I'd recommend you kind of add them manually as you need them for now. David Norman asking, we have pictures to inspection. Yep, you can use SPAN. You can upload pictures manually if you needed to, and that works as well. Okay, so yeah, David Norman, if you have pictures outside the app, just go to the website under properties, and there's find the property, there's an upload button there. How you invited, okay, Carrie asked, can we invite again, how you invite a tenant to do an inspection? Yeah, so basically you go to the turnover page, you're gonna, so basically the process, you go to invite, okay, and you're gonna click invite, and you pick from the template, so you pick the template that you want, and hit next, that customize it, invite. That's how it goes, that's all it takes, okay. Brigitte asked about propertyware. Right now we're integrating with just the standard level of propertyware. So the lower level, you basically publish a report. So it's kind of a very simple one-way integration. And so that's what it works. We're hoping to support their two-way API still in 2020, but don't yet. Jessica, just ask us specifically about pre-inspections in California. Email support, and we'll tell you exactly how to do that. So I need to see how to just send the renewal inspection. It's the same, I just showed you that. So basically just click invite and you can pick that tenant renewal inspection. All right. Karen asks, is it possible you can show us how to upload photos outside the report to make a report? Yeah, for starters, don't do that. Don't take your pictures outside of zInspector app. But if you basically just go to properties, and right here, you can upload photos. You can just upload them right here, and then you can automatically add them to any report. Okay, so just that's how you upload photos manually, but you really don't want to take pictures outside of zInspector or outside the tenant move-in app. All right. Okay, now some questions here about templates. All right, so I know we're kind of covering a lot of things there. I'm trying to cover as many questions as I can. Okay, someone asked, if we already added most of our properties to zInspector, we import our properties from Mapfolio, will it overwrite the properties or double them? We have, so under properties, when you import it, if they're matched up exactly the same way, so like if you're already using zInspector, you're creating properties manually, and then you later sync up with anything, Rentec Direct, Appfolio, Propertyware, Rent Manager. Once it's in sync, it will say accounting yes, and that means it's in sync with your particular accounting solution. If it's not in sync, it'll say no. And so like if you created a property manually and there's a little bit different name, we've got a nice little merge tool, so you can click here and go click, merge, and so that would merge any duplicates. But if they're named the same and you created them manually and they added another software, then they're going to sync together automatically, or use that merge tool to clean up things. All right, any more? Let's see. Okay. All right, I think I got all of those. All right, so we're gonna, someone raised a hand. Let's see if I can find that. let's see if I can, Lee's asking, what's for dinner? You know, my kids said the other day that I've never had so many delicious home cooked meals. And I said, and it's really great. We're really enjoying it. And I said, well, let's see if you still say that in a month. So, so that's where we're at there. People have asked about video. Yep, we're gonna, Gina. Yes, so this is all getting recorded on the same link where you signed up. This will be there. We're gonna send a link out to it there as well. Okay. I'm not. Christina says, I'm not seeing the invite option on a couple of properties. That probably means we don't have the tenant data there for those particular properties. There's no tenant data there. You can't send them an invite. And all right. Okay, so now let me kind of go through a couple of other topics here. So what I want to show you is, okay, so timeline. This is all your inspection data, right? Now, look here. Do you see how we got a little clock right here? What that's telling me is the tenant has started the inspection but hasn't finished it. So, right, so that's, we can get all that data. We know what's going on. We know exactly right here, this tenant started but didn't finish it. And so here it is on the app, and now I'm gonna actually finish that inspection. I can preview it, I can see it, I can sign it, okay, and submit it. And now that inspection report, it's going to go up, it's going to upload, it's going to email, route out throughout my company. Okay, so if I'm now back on the website, that clock went away. I now have a copy of that inspection report, all the pictures that they took, right, and all their notes and everything from that. So that's here under timeline. You're going to clearly see the tenant inspection data right here. Okay, now also how it works on turnover. Right, so under Leo, if you remember, it said previously invited, now it says submitted. So when I hit submitted, I can see the document history right there. What's really powerful that even if I have a whole bunch of inspections over time, different inspections, all the history associated with that tenant will be right there, and you can have many inspections over time. You can click it and download the inspection right from there here as well. Okay, now a few other questions that were asked I want to kind of show you about, and that is, so timeline, inspection data, turnover, managing all of your tenants, okay? So, and what I might as well show you what it looks like in the email from the tenant, okay? So here is the, okay, so here is the tenant one. Okay, so there is the inspection report was completed, so I can click on it and I can see it, and now I can click it and I can see the complete inspection report. So that's what the tenant gets, all right? So they get a copy of that complete report, and then you have all of the raw report here up here on your website available for you. Okay, now if I go to settings, profile settings, right, then there are various rules. So if you're a zInspector user, then you're going to get a copy of your reports in your email. You can set up global rules for your company. So you can make, this is where you would say, hey, I want a copy to go to my VA. And now the VA will get a global rule. We're going to get a copy of every inspection report in their email. The tenant got theirs, and now your VA gets all of theirs. And they could take them and upload them or do with them whatever you'd like. All right, so that's one feature to keep in mind. The other thing we want to look at here is under admin settings. Okay, down here, we have all these different settings for these features. So if you look at like tenant inspection, if you remember, that's where we controlled these settings. So this is where you control the BCC address. So if the tenant says, hey, you never notified me or anything like that, then this is where you would update that, okay? Or if you want to control the reply address, how you get a reply, okay, that's how you're going to get all the replies. So that's there as well. All right, now let's go into how you modify these templates. And there's a special webinar that's coming up here in a week that goes through all of these basics. Now, I've got some extra templates on here because this is kind of an account that I like to play with. So I've got some other things here. So I've got my annual inspection test or something like that. So if I don't want these on mine, I can just archive them, right? So that's what it takes to archive them, okay? And then if I could search and say, hey, show me the templates for my tenant, right? And so here is my tenant renewal inspection. And so I could say this, And maybe I wanted to make this something a little bit different. So I wanted to call this tenant roommate change form, okay? So that's all it would take to publish, and I now have a new template on my account. Now, the key subtlety is this right there, which says tenant inspection. That means it's going to only be available for tenants. It won't show up on your zInspector app. So that's what that field does, okay? And there's special video just on that. If you've used zInspector in the past, you may see this is a little bit different now. So these are all what's called fields. And so you can click on it and you can now edit these fields. And so this is how we make it so that you get everything in a real HTML document. So you can actually make this format be as elaborate here as you want, but then we can get specific fields to make it work in the app. So we give you a lot of control. Okay, so that's how that works. So that's templates. Let me see if there's a bunch more questions in here. Okay, done. Okay, Jody, I showed you on the templates can tenants, okay, so Paul asked, can tenants add a room during inspections? No, we made a decision to not let tenants add rooms. So the property manager sets that layout is the idea. Will the tenant invite inspections be automatically added to timeline? That's from Darnice. Yes, as the tenant is doing the inspection, you'll first see that they started it, and then the completed inspection will be in timeline. Okay, so Carrie asks, well, if you just don't have a full checklist, I think we actually covered that one. I think you'll have to assess that one. Answer live. Will a tenant get a copy of the report at the same time that they can look at it? Yep, and they get that copy in their email. Is there a template for posting notices? So if you can make a formal template for that. For zInspector users, what I'd actually recommend you do is something a little bit different. If you just want a very simple something like this, here I'm gonna, you would just go to property unit, pick the property, you could hit quick pictures, and I would say notices. And now if I take a picture, okay, then that would give me a little PDF report in my email. I posted a notice on the door. So for Adam Roberts, that's how most of our inspectors do it, but you could make that be a formal template. Like maybe you want to say, hey, what type of notice is it? Is it 3 days, a late rent? Is it this, is it that, tenant violation, right? So then you would make a custom document for that. Okay. All right, so I've got all questions answered. And that is kind of a good overview of all of the core stuff of the zInspector and tenant move and how that works. I'll just want to show you one more here under properties. Okay, so properties, this is where you have your list of properties. You can import a spreadsheet. This is where you can sync with various pieces of software. And then the key thing with zInspector, within properties, we have what are called areas. Okay, so if I look at what's called the Leo property, and I have what are called areas. And so this one is just kitchen, living room, and bathroom. Obviously, your actual properties have more areas than that. I did that just for demo. And so the idea is that you have templates, but then things dynamically change based on the actual areas associated with a property. So one may be 2 bedrooms, one may be 3 bedrooms, one may be 5 bedrooms, and it's going to dynamically change accordingly. Okay, so that's how it works. Kind of we call it a condition table. So template is you can think of your process. The condition table is what we're going to do with inside of that. All right. Let's see. Another question. Richard said, if I delete something, can I recover it? No, but so if it's deleted, it's deleted, but we do make it hard to delete. So to delete something, there's multiple different steps to actually delete something. So deleting properties that's controlled by users, and you got to be an admin user, and you have to first archive it and then delete it. And so we should make it harder to delete, but once it's deleted, it's deleted. Yep, and we're definitely going to record all of this, and we will send this link out. Okay. And let's see here. Yeah, so right now, tenant move-ins and tenant complete inspections, we are treating them as two different features. The tenant move-in feature, it's one you don't need to do that in this situation. It's more about process improvement. So we really think of it as it's its own feature. The tenant completed inspections, periodic inspections, so we think of them as two different features. Paul, once we deactivate a property, will that sync as well? So if you deactivate a property in Appfolio, you can set it to automatically go up in archived. So that is a possibility if you want to do that. Just be aware, with most software like Rent Manager and PropertyWare, it works smoothly. There's one subtlety for Appfolio users like yourself, that if you change the name of the property, it may archive that name also. So you got to watch out for changing names. But so most people, property managers, turn that off. Okay. Bulk way to delete tasks. There isn't a bulk way to delete tasks yet, but it actually brings me up into a very important aspect of it. Okay, so I think we've covered the bulk of the core features. So what I want to show you here is a couple automation features that these are here coming soon, and it's actually related to the bulk task options. So let's say I want to do something like, I want to look at all leases that started in 2019. This is all searchable, so I can say 2019. Those are all my leases, right? Or I could say all leases that started less than 2020. Those are all of those leases, okay? And I could do a select all, data, okay, bulk invite. That's coming in just 2 to 3 weeks, okay? So very, very soon. And what that will do is it'll allow you to pick the template and send it to everybody in bulk and send them all out there. The user asked about the bulk task operation. It's going to work the same way as well for that. But so that's coming here very shortly. Now, so that's kind of how to handle inviting people in bulk. And what I also want to show you is how under properties documents, there's also a feature here that I could do something like this. I could say, show me all my renewal inspections. I could say, select all, data, document compare. That will put all of that data into one large Excel file. So that is kind of the trick on if you, let's say, add a question in your template, like how to collect the filter size, for example, then you could get your property addresses, your filter sizes, all of your inspection data, all into one Excel file using that feature. So that's where you would go to do that. So you go to properties, documents, pull you up to all the submitted documents. You would search and type you want, and then you would say select all, document compare, and that'll put all that data on one big Excel file. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so I think that's about it. We've got a really thorough support page. I understand there's a lot to this. People are in a very difficult time. Use it to solve one problem, right? So maybe you get your renewal inspections. Maybe you got to do my periodic inspections. Let's just solve a specific problem, and then we're going to keep building on that over time. On our support page, we've got a ton of different articles up here, and you can chat with someone as well. And then if this link is going to change here by the end of the day, and it's going to take you to this page. And so we're going to actually have a series of webinars. And so these are all be different ones. So if you want to say, okay, I really want to just do more about account setup, or I want more from my technicians in the field, how to actually use the app, or I'm really concerned about move out process, how to take move out inspections and automatically generate turnover work. I really want to customize document templates. I really want to get into tasks. So those are going to be a series of webinars. By the end of the day, you'll see all of those, and you can subscribe to any of those you wish. Okay. And if there's nothing else, no other questions or anything like that, I think we can wrap this up. And you know, we'll just say thank you to our customers. We've really appreciated your feedback over the years, and you know, let us know how this feature is working for you. Let us know how we can help. And we know it's a difficult time, and we want to do our best to solve just one aspect of everything. Okay, so thank you so much, and we will take soon. I'll stay on here for a few more minutes, so as other questions pop up. I think so. This is over, but I'll be on here a few more minutes. If other questions pop up, then I will definitely answer them. Okay. And I thought I saw a hand. Jody asks, how do you delete a single task? You can't delete a task, but you can close it and it'll disappear and go to your inactive list. If you really want to delete it because you don't like it, you can, at the top of the task, pick a test property, and then you can assign it to that test property and delete it. But the idea is tasks aren't deleted because we don't want employees deleting history. We want it all tracked. So we make it so it's limited to admin users, and that's how we do it that way. So that was for Jody for tasks. So, you know, it's a good chat. How can I do it and do it myself? You know what? I should have covered that, you know, for you. So you're absolutely right. But basically just go right on here and go to the turnover page, and you can just, you go to properties first, create a test property. Okay, so you'll create a test property on your account. Okay, and then go to turnover page and create a lease, and then you just add yourself as a lease, and there's no cost for that. So that feature right there, you'll be able to add properties and invite tenants to do these completed inspections. It's all unlimited. So however many you add in there, that you can do that. Okay. Okay. Bridget, how do you add a photo real quick to a previous day? So, sorry, Chapman, that's how you do that. Basically, just no cost to that. Just go on there, add a property, add yourself as a tenant, and then do yourself a test. And you can do that as many times as you wish. Kim, if you don't see you column utilities, sorry, now I understand. That's a secret column. So that's coming out shortly. We're adding a new feature to manage all of your utilities. So you're not going to see that one yet, but that'll be coming here. Stay tuned. So if you want to handle all your move-in utilities, we're working hard to have a full automated solution for that, and we're partnering up with a well-known partner here to do that. Okay. Jessica, I don't think I can. There's going to have a separate webinar on just tasks. It's probably too much to do tasks for this, so I don't think I can do that right here. Just want to focus people on here on doing the inspections. To be an administrator, Richard asked how to be an administrator. If you go to contacts group, your admin user on your account, you do this. This is where you manage all your employees. So I can look at right now and say that Andy test user, they're not an admin. So basically what I do is I hit edit and I change their role, and I can change them an admin, and so that's all it takes to make them an admin. And now that user's an admin on your account. So it was for Richard. Thank you, Jessica. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Be safe, and we'll be in touch soon. Take care. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it. Thank you, Gigi. Be safe. Thank you, Darnice. Hope that feature helps you. Paul, we're still assessing what the pricing of what the periodic tenant inspections will be. There's a lot of stuff going on, so there probably will be some additional cost in the future in June, but whatever it is, we'll do our best to make it fair. Thank you, Carrie. Thanks for your business. Hey, and Paul, Roca, I don't know if you can still hear me, but because of you, I bought a nomadic backpack. You kept coming up in my Facebook feed that you liked them, so I bought one because of you. Perfect, Justin. Yeah, we'll help you out with that, getting that pre-inspection for California. It's a tricky process, so we have an idea how it works. You'll have to interpret it, make sure you think that's going to work, because we think the tenants can do it, but so we'll have to work with you on that process, but we think this will work. Thank you, Carrie. Okay, everyone's signing off. Thanks so much, and we'll talk before long, I'm sure. Take care.